friends, you know, in the United States. That's what I did, as I said earlier, 2 months after I became president. And I still think that's the best policy. And there's no need for us to punish the Cuban people who are already suffering under a totalitarian dictatorship. We should nurture them and give them assistance and let them see the alternatives to their own form of government. That's the best way to bring about reform.
Back in 1981, I was the lead investigator in a wiretap case that led to numerous wiretaps into a narcotic trafficking organization. Some of the individuals that were arrested, which were a total of 51 individuals arrested for narcotic violations in Miami, were known Cuban activists. During this deposition hearings, the defendants in the case had hired some of the best attorneys in Miami to represent them. One of the attorneys was representing one of the militants, anti-Castro militants who had been arrested in a narcotic trafficking case. Asked questions regarding Ricardo Morales Navarrete, who was the person who led to the wiretap investigation. What had occurred in Cubana Airlines, if he was a participant in the Cubana Airlines bombing, and he stated that he was involved in the Cubana Airlines bombing, but he was not the one who placed the device. There was a very lengthy deposition that day. After the deposition was taken, which lasted about 8 or 10 hours, during a period of about a week or 2 weeks, Mr. Morales asked me if I can take him to a location, to a bar, so he can have a drink. Since it was my responsibility to pick him up and take him back to where he was staying, I told him, okay, we'll take you to wherever you want to go, and then after you have your drink, we'll take you back home. We went to a bar at the Marriott Hotel on Lejeune Road, and we sat there for at least 2 or 3 hours. And Mr. Navarrete was drinking, and he was very upset because of the questioning regarding the Cubana Airlines bombings. And I asked point blank Mr. Navarrete, Morales Navarrete, what really occurred in that incident. And from my recollection at the time was that the bomb was placed inside the plane by somebody who carried the bomb. So he went through detail how the bombing occurred. He said that it was a plot that was staged and took a long time to do. They gathered a lot of information, when the plane was coming in, where it was landing. So they decided to have somebody bring in the explosive device by one of the passengers, who was an individual who was a photographer. I can't remember his name now. I think it was Lugo.
Freddie Lugo.
Freddie Lugo. That was the person who was supposed to bring the bomb in. The bomb was placed. The bomb was made, according to what Mr. Morales Navarrete told me, by Posadas Carriles. And I said, well, how did he place the bomb inside? And Mr. Morales Navarrete said, well, he brought it in, but he was supposed to go down. He brought it into the plane, and he was supposed to go down with the plane, but he got cold feet. And he got, what I mean by cold feet was that he got off the plane.
So this is Lugo?
This is Lugo, yes.
So Posada made the bomb. Freddie Lugo brought the bomb onto the plane, but then he got scared.
He got scared and got off the plane. And I said, why did he get scared? He says, well, he didn't want to die. Apparently, he didn't want to go down with the plane, but he was supposed to go down with the plane. That was the original plan. So how did he place the bomb? He says, well, the bomb was inside his photography bag. And before he got off the plane, before the plane landed, he left it inside the restroom in the plane. But there was not one bomb. There was 2 bombs. So I asked him, what do you mean there were 2 bombs? He says, there was a second bomb that was placed in the luggage. And we had somebody, one of the luggage handlers, that placed, when he took the bomb into the luggage compartment of the plane, the bomb was placed near the tail, as close as that, not the tail, I'm sorry, the wing of the plane. This is how, because this part of the conversation that when I was talking to him was that, because I said, well, there was an explosion, and he started laughing. He says, well, if you listen to the tape of after the explosion, you hear the pilot talking. There was all of a sudden the transmission dies, and there was another explosion. That's the reason that the plane went down. Not because of the first one, it was the second one, and it was a higher. There was more explosives on the luggage one than on the first one. In other words, they placed the improvised explosive device with more explosives than the first one, to make sure the plane would go down. The other thing I asked him was, well, you killed 76 innocent, supposed to be 76 innocent people. He said, well, the ones who really provided the list of passengers was the Cuban government. Nobody knows really how many people were in the plane. You're getting only one side of the story. And he stated that the person who committed, committed and made the devices was Luis Posada Carriles, where there was a lot of things going around the world fighting communism, and what a better thing to do than blow up a plane of the Castro government, who was a communist.
Did the CIA know because Posada was informing them?
I don't think Posada Posada told them. I think it was just like it was planned by these militant groups, and it was executed by them, and the CIA knew about it, but they just didn't want to do anything about it. This is the drift I got from Morales.
Would that fit with a picture of the CIA around that period, that an action against Castro or against Cuba in general, they certainly wouldn't seek to prevent it?
I think so. I think they just knew about it, but they just, like I said, the Cold War was on, and it was just another incident that occurred against the communism around the world.
This Bush administration is in clear violation of the rhetoric that they have used and abused constantly. This man practically only knows a phrase that he repeats constantly: war on terror, war on terror, war on terror. But at the same time, he's protecting terrorists that are his personal friends. It's not just complicity, it's more than that. They belong to a family. I would choose President Bush's favorite quotation: "Those who harbor a terrorist are as guilty as the terrorist himself." What was the rationale for the war in Afghanistan or in Iraq? Apart from the lies, was the assumption that if you, as a government, in one way or another protect a terrorist, you are responsible, and you may be even subjected to a military attack. And by the same logic, the same Bush philosophy, Mr. Bush is as terrorist as Mr. Posada, because he knows all that. And he has made so far impossible for the Venezuelan justice to complete his trial. It is not all history. Remember that, well, the bombings in Havana were 1997, 1998, and Mr. Posada recognized on American TV and to the New York Times that he was fully responsible for those explosions. In the year 2000, he attempted to blow up completely the University of Panama in order to kill Fidel Castro. That was already in this century. And since he left, when he was pardoned by the Panamanian president, his colleagues left straight to Miami, and he disappeared in Central America until he decided to show up in Miami. But when he showed up in Miami,